Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years.
What's up guys, I'm Andy. I'm going to be showing you how to remove and reinstall a clock spring in a 2014 Nissan Versa. If you need any parts for your vehicle, check out 1aauto.com. I'm going to take a 10mm wrench. We're going to loosen up this ground connection on the battery. I'm going to disconnect the battery. Loosen that up. And just wiggle it back and forth, disconnect the battery. Set this aside. Before we remove the airbag, you're going to want to make sure you take the key out of the ignition, set it aside, and then disconnect the battery. Before we do any work on the airbag, we're going to want to wait 3 minutes after disconnecting the battery. Right, so peel this forward, rock it forward. This is what was clipped into the bottom. Down below there, and that spring, right there, and the two side springs over here. You can see, you stick the screwdriver in there, I'm going to release these springs. It's kind of hard to see from the outside, but that's how it works. Same with this side. Just like that. Push that in, that releases the airbag. To disconnect the airbag, there's the horn disconnect right here. Just pull that off. And then these two connectors here, I'm going to use a right angle pick. Just get underneath this lock release. Gently pry it up. And sometimes the lock will come up. Just get underneath here. Lift up on it and then release the airbag connectors. And there's a retainer right here. Take the wires out, pull the airbag out. When you store the airbag, you want to store it facing upwards. So if it does happen to go off, it does not blow up. So we'll put that in the back seat. Next, I'm going to remove this steering wheel nut right here. You're going to make sure have the steering wheel as straight as possible and remove this. And I'm going to use a 19mm socket, an extension, and a ratchet. And hold the wheel with one hand and loosen it up with the other. Right, before I remove the nut completely, I'm going to grab the steering wheel and just rock it back and forth, go up and down. You can also use a puller to get this off. So the reason I leave the nut on there is because when I pull it out, so it doesn't hit me in the face, that nut will hold the steering wheel on. Pull the nut off. So there is a dot on the steering wheel right here that is indexed to this little line on the stud of the shaft. So you want to make sure those are lined up before you take it off. So we'll pull that off, pull the wires through, set that aside. Next we're going to take these two Phillips head screws out. I'll use a Phillips head screwdriver. Next we're going to remove, there's two 10mm bolts underneath here. I'm going to use a 10mm socket and a ratchet. Pull these bolts out underneath these two release handles. And pull this forward. There's a little slot right there. Little latch that goes in the slot. Move that out of the way. Under here, there is a Phillips head screw take this screw out. That's going to release the OBD2 connector. Like that. Next, with the steering column all the way up, I'm going to grab right here and here and just pull it straight out. Like that. And pull over here. Just like that. There's a connector right here with a switch to turn the traction control off on this vehicle. Yours may have something different. I'll take a little screwdriver and just push on this lock release. Disconnect that connector. Move that out of our way. Now we're going to lower the steering column. Grab the top part, pull up. This may take a little bit of effort. This one's been out before, so it came out kind of easy. There's some clips that hold this in, over here and here. We can move the steering column up and pull the lower part down. Pull this lower cover out of our way. Alright, we're going to remove these 4 bolts. This way it'll make it easier to pull this out, these other 2 as well. Use our 10mm socket and a ratchet. Because we want to lower this shield down so that the cover comes out easier. We can grab this bracket, set that aside, and our cover comes right off. To disconnect these connectors, I'll use my flat blade tool. I'm just going to push on this lock, push it up, slide that one out. Then we'll slide the yellow one out, push on the lock, right here. Slide that out as well. One thing you want to keep in mind before we pull this out, you do not want this clock spring to spin multiple times because it'll break. So we're just going to tape it before we pull it out. It'll keep it from spinning. We'll take these 4 Phillips head screws out. Just use a Phillips head screwdriver. All right, pull those out. There's some clips on the side here. They're on both sides, so you're just going to grab them with your fingers, pull it up, and same on the other side, and pull it straight out. To remove the steering angle sensor, there's little tabs right here. Just use a straight blade screwdriver, pop them up. There's one there. On this one, they're actually broken. There's one there, there's another one there. On this new clock spring, you can see different retainers right there. So we'll take the steering angle sensor, line it up. This center part has to be moved. You want that to line up with that right there, and then lock it down in place. Okay, we're going to reinstall this clock spring and steering wheel position sensor. There's 2 little clips in the back here. Those are going to clip on right here. Just slide it down, clip it on. We'll take our Phillips head screws and a Phillips head screwdriver. There's 4 of these. These go here, here, There's two over here. And snug these down. Just snug, not too tight. It is in plastic. And we want to plug these connectors in. There's a white connector that goes right here that plugs into the steering angle sensor. And then these two other connectors plug in down here. First the yellow one, then the gray one. Lock them in place. Okay, we're gonna put this cover on. Slide this into position here. Take the lower cover. It's gonna slide underneath. We'll take these two Phillips head screws, get those started right there and right there. Just snug that down. Just gonna squeeze the two panels together and tighten this one down as well. And that's snug. We're gonna install this bracket right there. These 10mm bolts. There's 4 of them. Get those all started. Take a 10mm socket, extension, and a ratchet. And I'll tighten these down. Next we're going to put this panel on. We want to plug in the connector right here. This is for the traction control. Plug that in. Line that panel up and lock it in place. So you want to make sure this OBD2 connector is lined up in position. And take this Phillips head screw. Oh, sorry. Take this Phillips head screw and screw this in. Snug that up. Then these release handles. There's a little bracket right here for the hood release and the gas door release. You need this bracket to go into this little slot here. So you pull it out a little bit and slide it into place. And take these 10mm bolts, get that one started, and then this one. Get 10mm socket, extension, and a ratchet. Tighten these up. Snug. So this is a new clock spring. So we have a little lock here that we're going to pull out. If you were reusing your lock spring, you could have taped it to hold it into place. So at this point, I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to hold it so it doesn't spin. Take my steering wheel. I'm going to slide the wires through here. These are the airbag wires. And then this is the horn wire. Slide that through. And then we want to line the steering wheel up with the little mark, this little pin mark. You see it? So there's a little mark on the shaft and then a little pinhole on the steering wheel itself. I'm gonna make sure those are lined up. Just like that. That looks good. Take our steering wheel nut. Put that on. And we're gonna tighten that down. We're gonna tighten this down with a ratchet. We're gonna use our 19mm socket extension. It's a little bit tight, then we're gonna torque it. Use a torque wrench. We're gonna torque this to 25 foot-pounds. I'm gonna hold the wheel while I do this. It's nice and tight. Now we're gonna reinstall our airbag. We're gonna take this horn wire. This is gonna connect right here. Connect it right there. Okay, we're gonna connect this orange wire right here. Just line that up, push it down, and then push this little lock tab in place. I'll take this yellow one and do the same thing. Line this up, push it down, and lock it in place. There's this little retainer that holds the wires underneath here. Just like that. Okay, now we're gonna try to line the airbag up. Push it in down below, and then lock it all the way down. You can reconnect the negative terminal on the battery. Use a 10mm wrench. Snug it up, make sure it's nice and tight. That's good, it won't move.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at oneauto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.